They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they watch you.
One hand for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Hello, and welcome to yet another edition of Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Murna Barnabas Atiai. Worried by widespread corruption in the execution of executive and constituency projects across the country, and to ensure satisfactory completion of projects meant for the welfare of the grassroots, ICPC launched the Constituency Project Tracking Group Initiative in 2019. Also, the Commission, in conjunction with the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the National Orientation Agency, initiated the National Ethics and Integrity Policy and launched by President Muhammadu Buhari in 2020. Since the launch of these two initiatives, the Commission has carried out numerous sensitization activities. One of such sensitization was held recently with traditional rulers, religious leaders, and community-based civil society organizations on the National Ethics and Integrity Policy and Constituency and Executive Projects Tracking Initiative. Today's edition focuses on details of these dialogues. Do stay tuned for details after the break.
Fellow Nigerians, do you know that constituency projects are actually your projects? Do you know that constituency projects are funded by the federal government? Do you know that you can track release of constituency project funds for projects located in your constituency and follow up to know how they have been executed? Constituency projects happen because government does not want to leave any community out in development efforts. You have a responsibility to know what constituency project has been planned for your community, how much has been allocated for it, and whether value for money has been delivered. Take ownership of constituency projects located in your community. Protect them because they belong to you. Government knows about your needs and is planning for you. Government needs your help to ensure quality delivery. Know that constituency projects are actually your projects. Protect your constituency project. My constituency, my project.
For information on funds allocated to projects in your constituency, call 0800 2255 4272.
This message is from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission and the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. This is Corruption Must Go. The lack of integrity in the execution processes of both the executive and constituency projects across Nigeria has continued to make sustainable development unattainable ambition for Nigeria. In response to this, therefore, ICPC initiated the Constituency and Executive Project Tracking Initiative and the National Ethics and Integrity Policy to help restore the lost values and tackle corruption in the society. Speaking at a one-day sensitization dialogue with traditional rulers, religious leaders, and community-based civil society organizations on the National Ethics and Integrity Policy, Constituency and Executive Project Tracking Initiative with the theme Influencing Positive Behavioral Change, ICPC Chairman Professor Bolaji Owasonye, SAN, represented by honorable members of the Commission and representative of the NOAA, spoke on the importance and impact of these initiatives. Let's listen to them.
Great hopes in the emergence of a new and better Nigeria, that I welcome you, distinguished and passionate leaders, to this sensitization dialogue. As character molders and champions of integrity and national development, traditional rulers, religious rulers, and community-based civil society organizations, you all play crucial roles in the development of your various communities. The design and implementation of the National Ethics and Integrity Policy identifies and recognizes you as critical stakeholders in the promotion of the policy, and so that is why you are all here to assist us to let the policy be successful. As traditional rulers, you are our royal fathers, custodians of traditional norms and values that protect your communities, and people are responsible people. As religious leaders, you are our pastors and imams, are not only spiritual guides, but also moral compasses by which we measure the positive growth or otherwise of the society.
ICPC and its partners to isolate the identified stakeholders and sensitize them separately with specific charge on the roles they are to play in making sure that Nigerians and those who live in and operate in Nigeria uphold the core values of this policy and take ownership of the policy thereafter.
We have done several engagements with community leaders on protection of critical national assets. We need to take ownership of projects in our domain. I'll give an illustration. If a community is giving transformer today, I will refuse to police and watch over that transformer. And this has come and remove the operator. The whole community will be in what? So we need to protect and take ownership of projects put in our domain. We need to become watchdog. And when you become watchdog, you protect and you prevent such projects to be suspended. Because you have a say.
In their goodwill messages, representatives of the Islamic and Christian faith in all the zones gave kudos to the Commission for the wonderful initiatives and agreed that the policy on ethics and project tracking was in tandem with the doctrines of both faiths. Hence, they should be encouraged and supported by every Nigerian.
We want to identify fully with ICPC on all their efforts in order to bring about a better change in attitude and life in our country. The scripture says that godliness with contentment is a great wealth. For we brought nothing into this world, neither shall we take away anything. But the way most of us have lived, especially in Nigeria in recent times, have shown that something that it all ends here. One day, we shall leave whatever we have gathered. The best we can be is to live to touch other lives, is to live to glorify God, and use whatever God has given
It is pleasing that the government of the Federation is finding it very urgent and crucial to organize the traditional rulers, the religious leaders, the youth, the women, and all other stakeholders to understand that we need a change in behavior, a change in attitude, a change in direction. It also coincides with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Ra'd, chapter 13, verse 11, where he said that God Almighty has the turning of events between his hands, min bayni yadayhi wa min khalfihi, from between his hands and all surrounding. يَحْفَظُونَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. He guides everything by his powers. And he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That Allah, God Almighty, do not change the situation of a people until they have changed what is with them.
Thank you for staying tuned. Traditional rulers play an important role in shaping and preserving societal values, and over the years have served as a vital vehicle for communicating government policies and programs to the citizens. At the different zones where the dialogues were held, traditional rulers at the event expressed their views on the policy and the project tracking initiative of the Commission.
It takes all of us, to come together and decide enough is enough. Nigeria is a good country. There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. That Nigeria is a good country. It has been mishandled for the longest. Corruption is killing our economy as well. It is difficult for foreigners to come and establish because everybody is trying to solicit money from them, and white folks, they are not going to have that. So that's why we lack of corporations from overseas because of our attitude.
We tend to have forgotten our past. There was a time when in our syllabus or in our curriculum in the schools, we forgot, we deleted history. And that made great concern to some of us, and we struggled that history must be brought back into our curriculum. Today we are happy that history has been brought back. The reason here is, if you don't know your past, I don't know how you can know your present. And I don't know how you can appreciate what your people, your forefathers have done. Today, if there was no history, if we didn't know history, some of us that are traditional rulers will not know what our grandfathers did. And we may be having problems in administering our people as traditional rulers.
Welcome back. You're still watching Corruption Must Go, ICPC's Public Enlightenment Program. Two insightful papers titled CEPTI as a Project Redemption and Interventionist Vehicle for Good Governance and Advancing the Core Values of NEIP for Behavioral Change, the role of traditional and religious leaders and CSOs were delivered. Take a listen.
In response to the issues of corruption, And when we started working, we initially developed the National Values Curriculum. Right now it is in operation in our schools. I noticed a comment about that we should actually infuse our schools with these values. But it's not just enough to teach children about the right values. And believe me, most children grow up with the correct values. But outside the school system, what happens to the adults? We often tell people not to be corrupt, but we should tell them what to do instead of being corrupt. That was what brought about the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. It's not a policy that just came out of the air. It came out having legal backing. But we realized that we needed to have a tangible document that says Nigerians should uphold certain values. This policy drew from the Constitution, it drew from the ICPC Act, from National Orientation Act, the UNCAC, United Nations Convention Against Corruption, and the codes of professional ethics, the codes of professional conduct of different professional bodies. Putting it all together, we came up with this document. And the fundamental principle is that every Nigerian should be obligated to keep the values that are espoused in the document. And anybody that violates the principles should be liable to actions or consequences. And that is what we are working on.
When we started, we concentrated on only constituency projects. But the rate at which people at the grassroots were so happy with it, they started asking the commission to move further. And the chairman board felt that the funding for constituency projects in the year, the appropriation rather, is only 100 million. So where there's a chunk of money is executive project. That was why the honorable chairman said we should extend the scope to cover executive projects. So we have recovered so many assets, we cover money every day in the house. In all the phases we recover money, we force contractors back to site and people are feeling governance. People are feeling that yes, there is governance in their community.
The papers, which were equally presented in all the states, highlighted the legal background, objectives and fundamental principles of the policy with a detailed look at each of the 7 core values. It also examined the work plan and consequence management of the policy, highlighting the role of each of the identified stakeholder groups while emphasizing the urgent need for citizens' ownership of the policy and the executive and constituency project tracking initiative. So far, the dialogues have been held in Abuja, Kaduna, Katsina, Edo, Delta, Oyo, Lagos, and so on. The events witnessed robust attendance of stakeholders such as traditional rulers, religious leaders, civil society organizations, and various dignitaries from across the zones and states. Our Corruption Must Go crew spoke to some participants about their impression of the dialogue. Let's hear what they have to say.
Actually, this interaction borders on creating further awareness, driving a social engineering, value chain communication to enlighten citizens on the need to inculcate that spirit of anti-corruption, which has affected the very fabric of our society. So it's a very important conversation and engagement. It will create an avenue, or it has created an avenue for further understanding, for further advocacy, or a platform that will mobilize community readiness for the fight against corruption in the country. And we've all identified that corruption is at the very heart of our societal challenges, considering some of the menaces that are plaguing our society today, inclusive of insecurity. When you look at the very causes of these challenges, we could trace them to corruption. So if we could have an attitudinal change, if we could drive this value chain communication, if we could effectively drive this social engineering so that Nigerians and citizens can participate.
You are the content president in your place. You're supposed to be able to follow it. And if you feel that it's being socially executed, report to ICPC so that they can monitor.
When you look at the thematic areas of the National Ethics and Integrity Policy, you will see that quite a number of them have to do with areas where we think traditional rulers should be very, very strong in the promotion of our...
I know that there is corruption in this nation, but I don't know that it is to this extent. Now that I attended this sensitization program, I have realized that there is so much corruption in this nation. And going by what has been taught to us, I think I have learned a lot of lessons. I'm going back home now, as a religious leader. I will start with my family, and from there I will extend it to my church. I will make sure that I organize them very well and teach them, sensitize them on what corruption is all about, which we know is moral decay. And many people are always blaming the government. All of us are part of the government.
ICPC plans to continue this engagement and interaction from time to time and to cover the states that have not yet been reached. Other stakeholder groups would also be engaged to ensure that the messages contained in the National Ethics and Integrity Policy and sensitization on the executive and constituency project tracking initiative of the Commission is cascaded down to the grassroots. Nigerians are encouraged to practice the core values of the policy in their daily lives to ensure that its objectives are achieved. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on the toll-free line 0800 22 55 4272. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms displayed on your screen. That will be all on this episode of Corruption Must Go. See you again same time next week. Bye for now.